Hello and welcome to this edition of Safe and Sound. I'm Bob Watts. In this program we're going to get out and enjoy some of the great summer activities available, and while we do that we're going to give you some safety tips and information that will help and keep those activities from becoming tragedies. We're going out to the professional firefighters of the Lake St. Louis Fire Protection District and hear what they have to say about boating safety. Joining us from the St. Charles County Ambulance District is Public Information Officer Marty Limpert to talk about drowning. We will talk about fishing safety with St. Charles County's Chief Ranger William Brandel and safety in the home with Assistant Chief Steve Brown from Central County Fire and Rescue. Joining us later will be health educator Brittany Camacho to talk about Sun Safety Week. But first, let's go out to the lake and hitch a ride with the Lake St. Louis Fire Protection District.
At Lake St. Louis Fire Protection District, we're responsible for Water Rescue Task Force, along with Wentzville Fire Protection District, St. Charles City, and Rivers Point for all water rescue incidents within St. Charles County. For boating incidents, the main cause is alcohol, inexperience, and boat operators not paying attention. In the state of Missouri, anybody born after January 1st, 1984 is required to take an approved boater's course for the state of Missouri. These courses can be offered through the Missouri Highway Patrol website under boater safety. Once completed, you'll be able to receive a boater's education card allowing you to operate a boat on public waterways. This is not included in streams or rivers or any private lake. If you're under the age of 14, you're required to have a certified operator with you at all times. The Vessel Safety Check Program is offered through the Coast Guard Auxiliary. This is a non-ticketing agency, and they're there to help you. Once they have completed their VSCs, the Vehicle Safety or the Vessel Safety Check Program, they will give you a sticker to place on the side of your boat. This does not get you away from checks through the Missouri Highway Patrol Water Division. It just simply states that you've taken the extra step and got your boat checked out by the Coast Guard Auxiliary. The Coast Guard has in place different requirements for certain size vessels. Typically, things 26 feet and under are considered recreational, and these boats are required to have personal flotation device, fire extinguisher, navigation lights, and visual distress signal. A visual distress signal would be similar to a flare or some type of strobe light on your vessel. Your boat's required to have certain ventilation requirements on it. If it was built 1980 and after, you have to have a forced type of exhaust system on it. If it was built in 1940 or prior, natural ventilation is acceptable. Only 14% of fatal accidents happen on board boats operated by a person who has taken a boating safety course. Taking such a course and applying what is learned clearly is a major preventative factor in preventing boating accidents. In addition, boating accident statistics indicate that 75% of all boating fatalities are due to drowning, and in 84 of those cases, the victims were not wearing life jackets or PFDs. Safety is not just about operating the boat safely. It is also about abiding by basic safety rules, including the use of life jackets by everyone on board. Most fatalities involving boat accidents could have been avoided if the people in the vessel were wearing proper life jackets or PFDs. If you want to learn more about boater safety, you can visit the Coast Guard website posted below, or visit the Missouri Highway Patrol website and click on the link for boater safety. If you need other information, please contact the Lake St. Louis Fire Protection District at 636-561-9200 or visit us on our website at www.lslfire.com.
Thanks, Justin. Well, with summer comes the increase of water activities, which increases the chance of drowning. Joining me now from the St. Charles County Ambulance District is Public Information Officer Marty Limpert. Marty, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Marty, here comes the warmer weather, the increase in water activities, and the increase in drownings. Are we making any headway in St. Charles County with curbing these accidental drownings?
Well, I think we are somewhat, being by two of the major waterways in the United States, the Missouri and Mississippi River, and also with all the lakes out in St. Charles. A lot of public education is going on by many groups out here, and I think there's a little bit of headway. Last year, in 2012, we did have 3 drownings in St. Charles County. 2 of those were children and 1 was an adult.
Was there any common thread amongst them? Was it on the rivers? Was it in lakes, or was it in pools?
Well, unfortunately, the most common is pools we see with children. There are a wide number of pools out here, not only in the county, but there's public pools as well. But the private pools are probably the most dangerous area. And most of that is due just because children are curious by their nature. About 20% of all the deaths that occur are from children, ages 1 to 14, but the ages 1 to 4 are the ones that are most susceptible. Curious by nature, if the pool is left unattended, they're not supervised. If there's a ladder, they climb in, and unfortunately they fall and they can't get back out.
What about alcohol? Does it play a part in, obviously, water safety and drowning?
Without a doubt, in the adolescents and adults, the drownings we see not only nationwide, but just locally, not only in St. Charles, but in Missouri, 70% of all drowning deaths are related to have an alcohol component.
What about some safety tips for the swimming pool?
Well, for a private pool, the biggest thing, obviously, number one is for supervision. Also, that children should be exposed to swimming lessons as soon as possible. 1 to 4, those are the children that are obviously the greatest danger area. But just so that they're not afraid, they don't panic when they're in the water, they're used to that environment. Make sure you have flotation devices readily available. Especially for what we see with the home pools, is that they should have 4-sided barriers. If you have an in-ground pool so that somebody can't get there, another fence that stops them. For the in-ground type pools, many of them have a partial fence around because they're in the ground at one end, but at the other end they may have a ladder there. That ladder should have a gate on it. It should be locked so that somebody can't gain access to climb up into it.
What about hot tubs? Does that bring any special thoughts into it?
Yeah, hot tubs and bathtubs are really, those are issues for some adults and children. People with seizure disorders, it's the number one cause of drowning deaths, are people with seizure disorders. So if somebody knows they have a seizure disorder, they should make sure that they're not in the tub alone, or in the hot tub alone in particular. So we see some of those kind of deaths occur. But even for small children, they cannot leave them unattended for even a brief period of time to go answer the phone.
Is there anything special we need to look for in open water safety tips?
Well, I think in open water has some unique challenges, and one is to make sure that the flotation devices you use, it's water wings, noodles, and inflatable toys aren't really flotation devices. They should use devices that are the Coast Guard approves, and we use the axiom in emergency services, whether it's with EMS and fire, the reach, throw, go. If you can reach that person, if they're struggling in the water, to pull them out with either whether it's a branch or a pole to get them out. If you can't get them that way, throw them a flotation device. That's an approved one. And if not, then you have to obviously go and swim after that person to try to rescue them.
Where can someone get some more information about these water safety tips as the season is here?
I think the foremost site to go to is the Centers for Disease Control, and if you go to cdc.gov and just type in if it's water safety or anything, they're without a doubt the number one clearinghouse, I think, for just about any safety information.
Is there anything that we can do or you'd like for us to do to get that 3 down to 0?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is education. What interventions that do work, obviously, are is that when something does occur, that somebody can call 911 right away and activate the emergency medical service system, that they should know CPR, because if somebody has taken water in, it's not that their lungs have filled up with water, it's that their passages are blocked. So when they remove that person, some water will come out. They may have to turn them on their side to get some more water out, but immediately begin CPR. And if you're at a public pool, someplace like that, if there's an AED available, make sure you have a towel that you can dry off the chest and attach those pads to it. And if they are in a shockable rhythm, make sure that you can follow the directions and use it. It's a pretty simple device.
Marty, thanks for the important information. Don't go anywhere, because when we come back, we'll tell you some safety tips while enjoying the outdoors.
Over 13 million people are affected by famine, war, and drought in the Horn of Africa.
Make a simple text donation of $10.
But do more than donate. Forward the facts.
Welcome back. Well, we've already touched on boating safety and drowning prevention, but what else goes along with those two? That's right, fishing. Let's hear now from Chief Ranger William Brando, who's going to tell us some fishing safety tips.
Some things you need to remember to bring with you when you go fishing. Of course, your fishing equipment, your bait. I would recommend to everybody that you bring a first aid kit, have one in the car. In addition to that, some sunscreen, plenty of water, hats or long sleeve shirts to keep out of the sun. some bug spray. You're going to need to bring your fishing license, which would be appropriate for, you need to check on what's appropriate for wherever you're fishing in whatever state. Here in Missouri, the day you turn 16, you need to have a fishing license. So kids 15 years of age and younger can fish for free without a license as long as they're with an adult that has a fishing license. To acquire a Missouri fishing license, there's two different ways you can do it. You can find an approved vendor, which is at almost any of the sporting goods stores, or currently Missouri Department of Conservation, you can sit in the comfort of your home, go online, and purchase a fishing license right online. You have to print it out yourself. My suggestion is to put it, either laminate it, if you know somebody that can do some lamination, or put it in a Ziploc bag to where it doesn't get destroyed in the rain. In addition to your general fishing license, there are some waters in the state of Missouri and during special seasons where you can fish for trout. You're going to need to check your specific areas. My suggestion would be to go to Missouri Department of Conservation online and check where you're going to be going fishing and make sure they don't have any special regulations. Each lake, like ours here at St. Charles County Parks, should be posted with the regulations, daily limits, most of the common rules, but you're going to find the same thing at all the Conservation Department areas and the public waters. Some of the fishing equipment you need to bring with you would include your fishing rods. There's a dozen different kinds. When you are shopping for your kids, or if you're a first-time fisherman, my suggestion is you don't buy the little bitty short fishing rods because they're very hard to use. A 5 or 6 foot rod with a Zebco type reel is perfect to get a kid started out on. It's just like baseball. You can't learn it from reading it. My suggestion is for people to take their kids out in the backyard, tie a washer on the end of the string, practice casting into a swimming pool or a coffee can or a hula hoop ring, something just to get the kids familiar with it before you take them fishing. The question often comes up, what type of bait is best? We get asked that all the time. Your go-to standard for any kind of fishing, whether it's catfish, bass, bluegill, are going to be worms and night crawlers, live bait. That's available either in your backyard or you can buy that at fishing equipment suppliers. As the kids get a little bit, want to be challenged a little bit more, they can move into the plastics. Some lead jig heads with any of the 1,000 different types of plastic fish imitation or minnow imitation type jigs. And then you move to plastic worms, buzz baits, crankbaits. The bass, you don't have to use live bait. Live bait's just the standard that almost everybody, even people with experience, go to when the fish are biting slow. Some of the safety precautions and things you need to think about, safety related, before you go fishing. One, make sure you bring sunscreen, bring bug sprays, because nobody likes being chewed up by mosquitoes. At the St. Charles County Parks and all the Conservation Department areas, you're going to run into ticks and snakes and bugs along the edge of the water. You're going to run into critters, and not everybody likes snakes, but they are protected by the state of Missouri. You can't kill a snake just because he's there. My recommendation is that you step back, observe him from a distance, find a different place to fish, because snakes are protected in the state of Missouri. There are several tick-borne diseases, so my recommendation would be to spray the kids down good with tick repellent. Check them at the end of the day. Kids around water, you need to be real cognizant. A couple of my kids will just walk into a pond. If you have kids that are not scared of water, make sure you put a PFD, something, a floaty, have them wear some floaties just for safety. If they go in the water, at least they're keep their heads above the water. Some of the other things to consider as far as safety goes is watching out for your equipment. I recommended earlier to practice in the backyard with the kids. Make sure that everybody's aware when we bring kids out here to the park fishing, we make sure they stand far enough apart where if they point their fishing poles at each other, they can't touch the tips of their poles. So that's going to be anywhere from 10 to 12 feet apart depending on the length of the pole. As far as fishing equipment and organization goes, nobody likes having a broken fishing pole. So go over with whoever you're fishing with, kids, adults, to make sure to be aware of their surroundings, be aware of where they walk so they're not kicking over a can of worms, stepping and breaking on a fishing pole, because that'll pretty much put a stop to your enjoyable day out there fishing. There's backpacks, there's tackle boxes, there's things you can organize your equipment in. It's just a matter of being far enough apart to where nobody's going to get a hook through the ear, which is another reason to have the first aid kit. If you do, there's very simple techniques. You can go to a website called takemefishing.org. That's a very good resource for anybody that's with either limited experience or no experience at all. There's lots of good information on that website, as well as the Missouri Department of Conservation, that have a lot of good safety-related, informational-related, educational-related topics. St. Charles County Parks offers numerous fishing opportunities. Each one of our lakes are posted like this with the current regulations, which we follow the Missouri Department of Conservation standard. We're also getting ready to open a couple of our lakes to kids fishing only. No adults can fish. It's an opportunity for the kids to have a place of their own where parents can take them. They can help them learn how to fish. They don't get overfished. We're going to stock them with fish so that the kids have an opportunity to get hooked on fishing, because we believe in the statement, if you take your kids fishing, you don't go fishing for your kids. Almost all of our parks have at least some fishable water. If you go to our website for St. Charles County Parks, you can look at each one of the parks and they'll identify the different lakes. They'll have maps for you to print off. If you have a question, flag down a ranger. He'll be happy to help you find a good location.
Thanks, Chief Ranger Brandel. While you're out fishing, you need to be aware of the sun. Here to tell us about sun safety is health educator Brittany Camacho. Brittany, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Brittany, tell us about some of those dangers that are posed by too much sun.
Well, anywhere from mild sunburn and premature aging to death from hyperthermia, the sun can pose many risks for people who either stay outside for too long all at once or for many hours throughout the course of their lives. Understanding the risks of sun exposure can help a person enjoy the outdoors while avoiding serious consequences.
What is hyperthermia?
Hyperthermia is more commonly known as sunstroke or heat stroke, and it occurs when the human body gets too hot. Heat stroke occurs when a person's body either produces more heat, like through a fever, or absorbs more heat from sun exposure than what it can do away with. Hyperthermia, the first symptoms are mostly related to heat stroke, which can include muscle cramps, nausea, vomiting, and even mental confusion.
And what you should do if someone shows these signs of hypothermia?
Well, true hyperthermia or sunstroke will require a person to be admitted to the hospital. So if you do suspect somebody to be suffering from heat exhaustion, you should call 911. But simply put, you should lower the person's body temperature as quickly as possible. You can do this by taking them to an area that is cooler than where they were. Their clothing should be removed if possible. You could put the person into a cool bath or simply place cold towels on the person's body. But if these items are not available, you can use ice or a cold compress on their head, neck, and chest to lower the body temperature. And even turning a fan on will help wick away heat from the skin.
How can you protect yourself from it to begin with?
Well, avoid sunburns. 5 or more sunburns can double a person's risk for developing skin cancer. You also want to avoid sun tanning or tanning beds. The UV light produced from the tanning beds in the sun can increase a person's risk of developing sun cancer. Apply lots of sunscreen, and you want to apply it on all areas that are going to be exposed to the sun. You're also going to want to wear protective clothing, so pants and long sleeves, as well as a wide-brimmed hat. Wear sunglasses. Our skin isn't the only thing that can be damaged from too much sun exposure and UV light. The best sunglasses are going to have 99 to 100% protection against UVA and UVB rays. Also, stay in the shade. The summer sun's rays are strongest between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m., and if possible, this is when we're going to want to avoid direct exposure to the sun. Avoid tanning oils, which can increase your risk of getting a sunburn. Also check the UV index. A UV index greater than 6 is when a person is at a high risk of developing serious consequences from overexposure to the sun.
And are things that accelerate that too, such as water, water near sand or snow?
Absolutely. So be careful around water, sand, and snow, because these surfaces can actually reflect UV light from the sun and increase the person's risk of burning.
A little review now. What does SPF mean?
SPF stands for Sun Protective Factor. And what SPF tells us is the relative amount of protection from the sun that it can provide when used in the correct way. SPF helps protect our skin from the sun by either blocking or reflecting UVA and UVB rays.
And what should you look for when buying this product?
All sunscreens in the United States have an SPF label on them, and an SPF of at least 15 is recommended. And you should note that an SPF of 30 isn't twice as protective as an SPF of 15. Rather, what that tells us is when used correctly, an SPF of 15 can block out 93% of UVB rays, while an SPF of 30 can block out 97% of UVB rays.
Brittany, is there somewhere where someone can get additional information on this?
Absolutely. The American Cancer Society's website is an excellent resource where people can go to get more information on how to be safe while out in the sun. Their website is www.cancer.org.
Thanks for coming in, Brittany.
Thanks for having me.
Don't go anywhere. We have some information for you on Home Safety Month when we come back.
Have you heard of Rett syndrome? I hadn't until my niece Courtney was diagnosed. The International Rett Syndrome Foundation hopes to find the families affected by this devastating disorder. Please call 1-800-818-7388 or visit rettsyndrome.org today.
Welcome back. Unintentional injuries in the home result in nearly 21 million medical visits on average each year. The Home Safety Council dedicates the month of June as Home Safety Month to educate and empower both families and businesses to take actions that will make homes safe. Here to give us some home safety tips is Central County Fire and Rescue Assistant Chief Steve Brown.
Home accidents and injuries typically consist of falls, burns, accidental fires, and those other things that affect two major groups of our population that we consider high risk. One is a small infant child under 6 years old, and then the other is our senior population over 65. To prevent falls for our senior citizens, it really is the most popular group that suffer this. Looking for rugs and anything that they can trip over, extension cords, anything that's loose. So when we go into a senior's house and we're there for maybe a medical call, we kind of take a look around and make sure that there's not anything like a blanket or a throw rug down that could be a trip hazard. Poisonings really affect our younger population, the children, especially the small toddler infants, where everything is hand to mouth. So one of the best ways to prevent poisonings is one, to make sure that household chemicals and those are kept in a child-proof area, either with a lock or above where they can reach. And the other thing is to get down low on their level and kind of take a look around and see what you can see at that level, because that's their whole world perspective. And then when you do that, you'll start seeing things that they're more likely to get. Most of the agencies in St. Charles County provide the Mr. Yuck sticker. It's just a green sticker that has an ugly face on it where it's given an expression if you tasted something bad that what you would normally make. And kids associate that to bad. So if you put those stickers on those liquids or chemicals or other items that you definitely don't want your child to try to taste, they'll see that sticker and will put it away. Choking and suffocation typically occurs in the young infant to toddler age group again. They're finding things on the ground that we don't notice, or maybe an older child has left. Legos, small toys, in plastic bags, grocery bags, or anything that they might put over the top of their head or put on their face. Sometimes they just goof around and want to make a funny face, and they put it on and they would suffocate themselves. Small children and toddlers are very top heavy, and a lot of people don't realize that their head is so much larger than the rest of their body, so they're constantly falling over, and they can drown in as little as 2 inches of water or a tablespoon of water. And this is hard to believe, but one of the most common areas that a small child will drown in are buckets. You may have a bucket around the house that you were mopping the floors with or cleaning and left that liquid in. The little toddler comes up, looks into the bucket, and they fall in head first. They can't get out, and that's how they drown. Swimming pools have to be protected by a 42-inch high barrier that has a child safety lock on it or a child-proof lock on it. And if your home has a deck that goes right out from the house to the pool, then your doorway from the inside of your house to the outside needs to have a child safety lock on it. Don't ever turn your back on a child. Just when just the short period of time to go answer the phone is all it takes for a small child to wander outside and drown in a pool. We recommend that your hot water heater be set at 120 or below. Anything above 120 can scald you in just 1 second. So, small children, whenever they turn on the faucet, they don't know to adjust the faucets and before they stick their hands in. They just reach up, turn it on, and it can be, if it's over 120, they stick their hands in there, and before it even hits their brain that it's too hot, they've already scalded their hands and have suffered second or third degree burns. So it's real simple. It's just keep your hot water heater below 120, and it's still plenty hot enough for showers and baths and everything you want to do, or washing your clothes, but it's not hot enough to scald. When we start into the summertime, a lot of outdoor burning, such as barbecue pits, outdoor fire pits, and stuff like that, those are real big potentials for you to suffer a burn injury. We just recommend that flammable liquids be stored outside, in the garage, or in a shed, never brought inside the house. And whenever they're used, use them properly. Don't ever use gasoline or other petroleum products to set a fire. Gasoline and other petroleum products put off flammable vapor so much earlier than lighter fluid and other items, and that's how people get burned. They want to start a fire pit and they don't have any charcoal lighter fluid or something like that. They may use gasoline and it'll flash on them and it'll suffer burns. Using your barbecue pit, always make sure that you're away from the house, especially most of our houses have vinyl siding on it. They don't have to be very far away, and you can set your house on fire or melt the siding off. And then also, if you're discarding the ashes from your charcoal barbecue pit or from your regular burn pit, always make sure that they've been doused with water and discarded away from the house. Don't ever put them in the mulch or the landscaping near your home. The outdoor fire pits have become very, very popular. And at the end of the night, after you've been outside with your friends and everything, and you're getting ready to retire for the evening, always make sure that fire is completely out. Just don't let it burn out. Make sure you use the garden hose and extinguish the fire completely. Because what can happen is over the night, the wind may pick up, it activates the coals or starts blowing ash around and can set your house on fire. Just some of the simple things that you can do to help prevent fires or loss of life in your home due to fires, to make sure your smoke detectors are working properly. We recommend that you change your batteries at least once or twice a year when you change your clock, but then also just press the test button every once in a while, every couple months, to make sure that they're still working properly. And if your smoke detectors are over 10 years old, we recommend that you replace the entire detector, because the sensing mechanism in them only lasts for about 10 years. So if your home is older than 10 years, you should go to your local hardware store and replace your detectors. One of the best things to prepare your family for a disaster or for a catastrophe is to have a plan. So put together a kit with some basic necessity items, and also have a plan. A communication plan is really important, so everybody knows what number or who to call. One of the key points to that is pick somebody outside the area that everybody can call, like an aunt or an uncle or a grandparent who maybe lives in a different town or different state. That way they can call out and get to them, and they're most likely not affected by the disaster. If anybody has any questions or would like to get more safety information, they can go to centralcountyfire.org on our website or our Facebook page.
Thanks, Chief Brown. That's all the time we have today. Hope you have learned some helpful information. Please join us next time for more information to help keep you safe and sound.